get. But speaking of architecture that people will continue to be mind-boggled over for years, Dubai's 2030 blueprint, where they say 25% of buildings will be 3D printed. Dubai always seems to have a bigger plan in store, and by 2030, which is not that far away, they're 3D printing a quarter of new buildings, and that's some serious forward thinking. So what is the 3D printing strategy? Dubai's 3D printing strategy will span across construction, medical items, and consumer products, focusing on key areas in each sector. So in construction, 3D printing for various components like lights, bases, foundations, joints, facilities, parks, homes, galleries, and stores is projected to drive the sector's value to 3 billion dirham in Dubai by 2025, as reported by state news agency WAM.
Moreover, under the new Dubai regulations, any organization looking to engage in 3D printing activities within the sector must initiate the registration process with Dubai municipality and secure a license before proceeding to seek additional approval from other relevant authorities.
So you might ask yourself, what are the advantages of constructing 3D printed structures? This will minimize the need for labor in construction. It will decrease waste production and the environmental impact. It will speed up the construction process and promote the advancement of worldwide technology, potentially revolutionizing the construction industry.
In case you weren't aware, 3D printed buildings are already a reality in the Emirate. For instance, back in 2021, Dubai's Jumeirah Beach hosted a unique DR installation using an innovative 3D printing system by WASP in just 120 hours. And that also we know at Expo City for the Italian pavilion, Michelangelo sculpture was 3D printed. And it's, you know what, like I still cannot fathom the technology. I still cannot.
Can I just say though, not that I understand it in any way, shape or form. However, when we say the buildings will be 3D printed, in my mind, I see like, you know, a wire air flowing constructing a building, you know. However, how WAM explained it makes it a lot more sense, because the 3D printer isn't essentially constructing the actual building. What they're doing is they're doing the various components in the building, such as lights, bases, foundations, joints, you know. So like the things that go to create the building are being made by a 3D printer rather than the actual building, which is what I thought.
Still don't get it, to be very honest. It's just so advanced level of technology, this 3D printing. As much as I read about it, as much as I try to understand it, it just does, my brain does not absorb that kind of like, you know, sorcery.
So down in DIFC, there's a roundabout there near where Amazonica restaurant is, and on the right and on the left you have these really kind of low-lying, very cool, very modern white buildings, and I believe they are 3D printed buildings.
Oh my God!
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know where I'm talking about, that roundabout on the right? You go into where all the restaurants are in DIFC.
I know what you're talking about, but I've never noticed a 3D printed building.
World Trade Roundabout, and then on the left there, just very cool, low-lying, white, modern buildings, and I believe that whole section is 3D printed.
Oh my God, so cool! That is so cool. That is so cool. Like, we are not developed, we're like advanced level technology at this point. Like, I've heard of so many constructions and like structures in the Emirate, like 3D printed, but you still are not able to really kind of get the full gist of how it's done. But yeah, full like rows of buildings 3D printed, that's so impressive.
And as we said, the advantages are that, of course, it will reduce the need for labour in construction, which is amazing, as we have such a reliance on the construction and labour industry in the city. So they're actually looking at ways to minimise that, which is really incredible. This is part of the 2030 plan. We also look at more autonomous vehicles,
yes,
which means less oil, less petrol on the roads by 2030 as well, leading to a more sustainable future for an ever-evolving and incredibly dynamic city that we are so blessed to live in. It is Tuesday morning.